recently I was watching a YouTuber, kind of unrelated to atheism or anything like that. And this YouTuber was using the term LGT plus. They removed the B. I thought that was kind of weird. It was like, was that like a slip? Like, did they like accidentally leave the B out or something? So I stepped back and listened closer and watched their lips. They said LGT plus. They removed the B from it. It still could have been a slip. So I'm going through the video, continuing to watch, and they did it again. They did it a second time. They removed the B. It was just LGT plus. Now, I'd never heard that term before. So I started looking into it because it just so happens that my girlfriend is bi and was not a huge fan of that. So I found this Reddit post here. I just wanted to take a quick look at it here. The name of the Reddit post is LGT plus. Is it becoming more common? I've been seeing a lot of people using LGT recently, completely removing the B. It seems to be more and more common, and I'm not sure what to make of it anymore. Is bi erasure becoming more accepted now? The top response is, I've almost never seen anybody promote LGT without a B, except for a few 4chan trolls who started a fake Drop the B campaign a while back, and Googling for LGT doesn't reveal any recent examples of this, so I think the B has a pretty secure place in the acronym. It does. As far as I'm concerned, if you are not 100% heteronormative, I guess would be the term, then you should be included in this umbrella. Just because you're in a standard, even just a hetero relationship, does not mean that you are not attracted to the other sex or the other gender. Any specific examples? I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but sometimes people post stuff like this just to divide us, and we have to be vigilant. A lot of people talking about dropping the Q and now the B, things like that. To me, it feels like if you are attracted to somebody if you're attracted to somebody, you should not be shamed for that, no matter what their reasoning is for that shame. I don't care what reason you have to remove the B. It belongs there. I don't know. This just like really hit home with people around me. It turns out that there are actually a lot of bi people that I know, and bi erasure really affects them. So it really affects me too.
Telltale, how do you deal with somebody who is biphobic in today's day and age?
I'm not bi personally, so I can't tell you how I deal with it, but the people that I know who have been dealing with it, they found community in different subreddits and Twitter and various different types of social media. And honestly, that's like sound advice for anybody who's involved in, or anybody who is a part of a minority that is less than accepted in society. It's probably sound advice to find community for that group. I mean, that's what I did as an atheist. That's what I did as an ex Jehovah's Witness. I found a group of people who had similar experiences and used them to support me, and I supported them too.
This one coming from Phonics. What's the difference between bisexual and pansexual to someone who is biphobic?
This is, like I said, I'm hetero, so this may not even be my place to be discussing, but I have a platform, and so I'm using it to try to boost this as an issue that should be talked about. But since I am hetero and I'm not part of the LGBT community, it means that I'm kind of by definition a little bit less invested in it than somebody who is part of the community. So I feel like if I tried to like define the difference, I would mess it up. But my understanding of it is a bi person is attracted to either men or women. A pan person is attracted to somebody of any gender. That's my understanding of it. If I mess that up, then I can put a correction in after, so just let me know.
This one coming from myself. What do you think the logic behind biphobia is? And do you think pansexuals face those same issues?
I may end up cutting this out of the final clip. I don't know. We'll see. But All right. I mentioned this. I've mentioned this before. When I started YouTube because the entire atheist community was rife with anti-SJWs who were trying to tear people down. And honestly, I was just so sick of hearing it. Like, it's such irrelevant little nitpicks the anti-SJWs were giving. It was ridiculous. I felt like nobody was talking about atheism anymore. It was all social issues, and they were all completely full of it. So I started talking about atheism. I started a YouTube channel doing it. But as time went on, I came to find that a lot of attacks, like I've never been attacked by an anti-SJW YouTuber before. I have been attacked by quote-unquote SJW YouTubers, though. I've come to find that there's a lot of extreme black and white thinking on the anti-SJW side, obviously. We all knew that. But there's also black and white thinking on the SJW side too. And that's why I don't call myself an SJW. I call myself a social justice advocate. Some of that black and white thinking this is probably going to get cut out because it's extremely politically charged, and I really don't. This is the exact thing that I set out not to talk about when I started my YouTube channel. But some of the black and white thinking on the SJW side is, if you are not attracted to trans people, then you're transphobic. And that is why a lot of the time bi people are excluded from LGBT. They're basically trying to replace it with pan. They don't want somebody who is exclusionary in any sense. Now, I understand the logic behind that, but as far as I'm concerned, you can't tell somebody who to be attracted to. The moment you start telling people who they're allowed to be attracted to is the moment you become an extremist Christian advocating for conversion therapy. That's literally what conversion therapy is. That's what they do. They'll sit a gay person down in a room and they'll show them gay porn. And now this is the old way. They may have kind of phased some of these parts out, but this was really prevalent in the 90s and the 2000s. They would actually zap them. They would give them an electric shock anytime they became aroused at the sight of gay porn, basically. And they would just show them straight porn like nonstop until they got aroused. And they'd send them to group therapy where they'd talk about how wrong it was that they felt this way and how they should fix it and they should be better people, they should be different people, and all this other nonsense. This stuff was not backed up by psychology. Still isn't. And luckily for us, it's being phased out of use. But that's, in a nutshell, what you're doing when you're erasing bi people, right? You're telling them that their sexual preferences are wrong and they should have different sexual preferences. I mean, that's what it boils down to, isn't it? Whether they are attracted to or want to date trans people or not, none of your business. It is their business. Now, you should support trans people in the struggles that they face every day, because it is legitimately an issue. There are a lot of legitimate issues to be dealt with. But I'm not going to sit here and let somebody try to sexually convert somebody that I care about. I'm not going to let somebody send someone that I care about through conversion therapy, de facto conversion therapy. I'm not going to let it happen.
Do you think all people that are biphobic are toxic? That's coming from Pups Wolf. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. I don't know that I would say that. Oh, God, this is like a hard question. Is anybody really toxic? There are people who have really toxic behavior, and that is an extremely toxic behavior. I try not to like condemn any one person based on any one personality trait. Even Jehovah's Witnesses. I would rather not condemn them and say that they're irredeemable or anything like that. Like anybody, ever. Like, there are people out there who are irredeemable. There are murderers and all kinds of people who are beyond redemption. They cannot come back from the things that they've done. Or they don't want to come back from it. Or they just will die never changing their mind. There are people out there like that. But we have to come into the conversation, come into the situation, assuming that they can be redeemed, even if they can't. Everybody. We have to give everybody that opportunity to assume that they're not all bad. So, anyways, it's a really toxic behavior. To answer the question, yes, it's toxic behavior, and I just don't accept it. It's not good. It's harmful. It's splintering people. I'm just not going to sit by and let it happen. So, if you like what I do and you want to make sure I can continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, you can support me on Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring. I'm trying to make a shirt design for every cult I've covered. I haven't gotten every one, but I'm working on it. So check it out and see if your cult is up there. Second, you can support me by checking out my game shop. I sell controller, cartridge, and game box stands for every system from the original Nintendo and Sega Game Gear to the Xbox One and Nintendo Switch. So give that a look too. And finally, if you want to support me in some way other than monetarily, you can check out my other YouTube channels. I have a retro game channel where I answer questions like, why does Shy Guy have a mask? And why are CRT TVs the best way to play retro games? I also have the podcast where I talk about stuff I don't feel I can say on a monetized channel. And finally, I have my main channel where I talk about cults. I wish I didn't have to worry about dancing around subjects carefully in the first place, but I chose to do this as a full-time job, so unfortunately I rely on YouTube's AdSense and on the support of patrons to continue doing the work I do. Anyways, check me out in all those places if you haven't already. Thanks for listening, guys.